Welcome everyone to PowerSalesUniversity.com. My name is Jason Evans, owner and president of Power Sales University. Now, before I jump in and go through my introduction and explain the journey you're about to embark upon, although I feel it's extremely important to go through this introduction, please realize it's just that, an introduction. The reason I tell you that is because there are really two types of customers listening right now. The one that really realizes there's a process. Yes, they want to get right to the techniques, the meat and potatoes, but they don't mind going through the introduction. And then there's the other type which wants to start out their first sales meeting with a bang and really show their salespeople that this guy has pure techniques, no fluff, and has the best sales techniques out there on the planet. So, if you're in that second group and you look around right now and you've got a few salespeople with their arms crossed, which I can't blame them because there are so many sales gurus out there that call themselves sales trainers that can't close a swinging door, since anyone can call themselves a sales trainer, then I understand, and I've got a solution for you. Exit out of this introduction right now. Don't worry, it'll remember where you're at, and pick up right where you left off, and then go back into month one, and somewhere, maybe it's at the top, maybe it's at the bottom, I've got a sneak peek of how to handle objections with my 5-step objection handling formula. That's the best you've ever seen in your life. So, if you'd like, exit this module now, watch that sneak peek, which is, call it 10 or 12 minutes or so, then come back to the introduction. I'm okay either way. And if you're still watching now, I'll keep going. Here we go. You guys are about to begin an exciting journey of becoming truly the best, a master closer. I like to call the master closer a master communicator because that's really what he or she is. The master closer or master communicator can sell any product or service to anyone regardless of industry, whether that product is sold face-to-face or over the phone. And why is that? Because in the end, sales skills are sales skills. Meaning, regardless of what you sell on the planet Earth, you're always doing things like building rapport, asking questions, or asking for the sale. And of course, there are many, many sales techniques that make up all of what we call the art and science of sales. So, all of the sales techniques you'll be learning will apply to whatever product or service it is that you sell. Because again, building rapport is building rapport. Asking questions is asking questions, and closing is closing regardless of what you sell. Let's spend just a moment on the why going through sales training is so important. In psychology, they say that 80% of the reason why people do things is because they have a big enough why. So let's talk about a few whys. First, why should you do this training even though your boss is mandating it? Well, where did you really learn how to sell in the first place? Colleges, they don't offer a degree in selling, and they should. Salespeople were 11% of the population. Companies usually give 1 or 2 days of training when someone first starts, and typically it's product knowledge, not the art and science of selling. And studies show that 90% of all salespeople have never even read one sales book cover to cover in their life. So, where did we really learn how to sell? We didn't. There is such a huge need for sales training that when we ask veteran salespeople a basic question like, how do you ask for the sale? 99% of them blow it. Let me play you a live example of what I mean, but before I do, I want to talk about one quick topic, ego. For some reason, in sales, many salespeople have these large, gigantic egos, all of which are unnecessary and 99% of the time can't even be backed up. Many salespeople equate years under the belt in selling to equaling competence. But let's say someone's been selling for 30 years. All that means to me is that most likely, maybe they learned a few things in the first year in sales, and they've been doing the same thing for the next 29. But did they ever really learn the psychology of sales? Most likely not, because of the things we talked about earlier. Again, there is no degree in sales. Companies give 1 or 2 days of training when someone first starts, and usually it's product knowledge, and 90% of salespeople have never even read one sales book cover to cover in their life. So at my company, if any of my 53 coaches are being pushed around by someone with a large ego, I've trained them to simply ask, again, what should be a basic question, like, how do you ask for the sale? And 99% of these amazing salespeople will completely fall flat on their face. But other than their ego, it's not their fault. Because again, where did we learn how to sell? So let me play a live example for you of somebody that I just had enough of, and you'll see why. And I think this will prove my point of both not knowing sales psychology and then having an unnecessarily large ego. Let's go to the big screen, guys.
So tell me about the super program that I've been doing for 40 years that I'm going to spend money on for my guys.
Problem is, I could probably ask you how to ask for the sale, and the wheels would come off. How do you ask for a sale, Greg?
How do I ask for a sale?
Yeah, it's not a trick question.
It's not a trick question. The question is really simple.
I'm ready.
Information and knowledge you have now, are we prepared to do business together?
Ouch! You violated a basic rule in sales after 40 years. You never ask a yes or no question because you might get a no.
Problem is I know the answer already. That's why.
Did you catch that? With the information and knowledge you have now, are we prepared to do business together? He violated one of the most basic rules in sales, which is that you never ask a yes or no question because you might get a no. Now, we'll talk about that more later in the future modules, but my point is he's been in sales for 40 years and doesn't know how to ask for the sale, but it's not his fault, guys, other than that large ego, because again, where did any of us really learn how to sell? Now, I had to pin that guy in a corner because he was being obnoxious, but I want to ask all of you the same question, not as a way to embarrass you, but as a way to help you grow and stretch and learn and make more money. So, Meeting Facilitator, I'm going to have you put me on pause in just a moment and ask everyone this question: how do you ask for the sale? And the answer should be 1 or 2 sentences max. And Meeting Facilitator, you're probably going to get a few stalls, which I want to eliminate right now. Things like, well, it depends on the situation, or it depends on this and that. No, it doesn't. You're at the end, the prospect is nodding their head up and down, even if you're picturing that over the phone, and you've come to the peak and you're ready to ask for the sale. How specifically do you ask for the order, ask for the sale? And again, guys, most of you probably don't know that answer, and that's okay. So Meeting Facilitator, put me on pause right now and ask your salespeople if they know specifically how to ask for the sale, and I'll see you in a moment. So what do we get? We probably got a lot of hesitation, or I just don't know. That's the answer I'm proud of the most. When someone doesn't really know and they admit it, to me there's no shame in that. Actually, it shows the opposite. It shows strength, not weakness, to say, I don't know. And if you did answer that question, obviously I'm not there to filter your answers and to see if what you said was correct. But as we do this training, I'm going to teach you several closes, but not a ton. That's not necessary. I don't need your brain clogged with 50 closes. I just need you to know about 5, and I'm going to give you my favorite one right now. Even though we're only in the introduction, I want to teach you how to ask for the sale right here and right now. This is my favorite close, and I use it all the time, and I've been using it for 31 plus years. And I use it multiple times in the closing phase because studies show us that 80% of all sales take place after the 5th attempt of asking someone to buy, and that 80% of all salespeople don't even ask for the sale once. Let's change that right here and right now, once and for all, with my favorite close. And again, I'll use it 2 or 3 times in the closing phase. So grab your notepads and write it down, because here it is. Fair enough? That's the close. Those 2 magical words, fair enough? I'm jumping way ahead here, and there's a lot more to this. We've got months and months to go when it comes to learning and mastering the art and science of selling. But I wanted to give you some meat and potatoes right here and right now. We summarize the buying temperature by saying something like, there is no question that we're the best because of this, that, and the other. We talked about how the timing of this is perfect because of this, that, and the other. And we've also covered your concern that you had about the X, and that this is absolutely perfect for you. So let's get you started. Fair enough? And you stay quiet and let them answer. Now, let me get back on track and finish this introduction so we can get right to the sales training. The skills you will learn will catapult you guys to a whole new level, no matter what you sell, what industry that you're in, and regardless of how short or long your sales cycle is. Everyone will benefit no matter what level you're at, whether you're just beginning or you're intermediate, advanced, or already consider yourself a master closer. The other thing is, it doesn't matter what your position is. Meaning, maybe you're not a salesperson, but you answer the phones, and your job is to get people to set up an appointment with the salespeople. Well, without you, the salespeople don't have any appointments. So you are in sales, and your sale is selling the customer on setting up an appointment. Anyone in the company that has any interaction with the customer that can influence the sale in any way or influence an upsell where you're selling the customer a different product or service or more expensive one is in fact in sales. That's why the expression goes, look over at your owner right now, if they're in the meeting. Everyone in the company is really in sales, right? I can see them nodding their head up and down right now. Now, traditionally, when we think of sales training, we think of learning a few new tips. My goal is not to teach you guys a few new tips. My goal is to get you so good at this that you can teach it like I do. Not so that you can go teach it, obviously, but if you're so good at selling that you can teach it, well, of course you maximize your closing ratio, right? Meaning you're closing everyone that you possibly can. And that means you're helping more people and you're making yourself and your company more money. So everybody wins. Our training will teach you everything that you need on how to sell from A to Z. The only thing you'll have to do is plug in your product or services rebuttals to the objections that you normally get. Guys, this is how to close from A to Z for any product or service, regardless of industry, whether you sell face-to-face or over the phone, whether you sell to businesses or consumers. Why? Because building rapport is building rapport. Asking questions, and closing is closing, regardless of what you sell and who you sell it to. The only thing that will change slightly, and don't worry, I'll explain it while I'm doing the training, is let's say you're a business-to-business salesperson. You simply will be swapping out words like today for something more appropriate, as well as adding more sophisticated language. Also, I'll have you stretch out the sentences with perfect voice qualities, since you're dealing obviously with CEOs, CFOs, CIOs, small business owners, and so on. I spent 11 years selling B2B. I spent another 21 years selling to consumers, and half of that was spent over the phone and the other half face-to-face. But in the end, again, guys, building rapport is building rapport. Asking questions is asking questions, and closing is closing regardless of what you sell and who you sell it to. We just need to take a little more time when we speak and use more eloquent language when selling to businesses. That's all. But in the end, techniques are the same. They're all the same. After attending Power Sales University, you will be a master closer and master communicator. And then upon graduation, we'll help to keep you conditioned month in and month out so that you don't forget those skills, because learning never stops. After absorbing my training, you will understand that there is no such thing as an up and down month for the master closer and communicator. He or she knows that you do certain things in a specific order and you get the same results every time. Mastery of sales training, along with doing what you're supposed to do when it comes to prospecting, is how you maintain consistency. I'd like to share with you the powerful experience that altered my destiny and allowed me to be here today to serve you and to teach you the art and science of selling, and why I'm uniquely qualified to be an authority on that topic. 32 years ago, I'm 50 as of this recording, but 32 years ago, I took a job at a car dealership when I was 18 because the general manager told me I was a natural-born salesperson, and 3 months later, I was fired for lack of production. That was my first experience in sales, and I thought my last. All I got the first day when I was hired was 1 hour of sales training, and then they just threw me out there. It was so quick and brief. All I remember was the alternate choice close. Never ask a yes or no question because you might get a no. Always ask the customer, do you want the red one or the blue one? Do you want the stereo or back then the cassette? When my friends and family members asked me what happened, I simply told them it didn't work out because, you have to be a born salesperson. Salespeople are born, not made. That was my belief. That was my belief system, that salespeople are born, not made, that I wasn't a born salesperson. And we've all heard that, haven't we? That salespeople are born, not made. So a few months after being let go from that car dealership, I walked into a health club to get a membership. As the general manager was enrolling me, he was asking me questions about my life and what I planned on pursuing as a career. I told him that exact same story I told you of how I got fired from the car dealership and how that salespeople are born, not made. He sat back without saying a word at first, crossed his arms, and then he said, Jason, that's not true. It's the exact opposite. Salespeople are trained, not born. He went on to explain that sales is the highest paid profession on earth and that he was a master closer. He said that he would teach me the art and science of sales if I was truly serious and committed. He said he also had some names of some incredible sales books and tapes that I could buy as well that would hone my sales skills even further. He went on to tell me that more about how selling was the highest paid profession on earth and that his top guys were making $80,000 a year. I remember thinking that's a lot of money to be walking around in sweatpants and be able to make sure that you get your workout in since you work there. So I took the leap of faith and I took the job and I made the decision that I was going to do everything that he told me to do. Now, with what I was selling health club memberships, it was a one-call close, meaning if I didn't close someone that day, they were never coming back. For some reason, if we didn't close people that day on joining, they would never come back even to use their free pass. In addition, we had to get our own leads and make our own appointments. We had to drag people in a 1-month free pass and close them that day. Only the manager and the assistant manager would get the walk-in traffic where people would say, "Hi, I'm here thinking about joining." And they made us track everything. I had a 15% closing ratio at first, which is nothing special. That was average. With proper training, I got up to a 45% closing ratio in about 3 months flat. I was astonished, and I still am, all these years later. A 300% increase. I was so excited that just a little bit of information could double, even triple my income. It's amazing to think that only months earlier, I believed with total certainty that salespeople were born, not made, and now I had witnessed firsthand the exact opposite, that salespeople are made, not born. And then with one technique that Harvey taught me, he got me from 45% closing ratio to 65% in 1 week. And then the next year and a half, I eventually got to an 86% closing ratio and was number 2 out of 1,000 people in the company, all because of sales training. I can't remember when. Maybe it was the first 6 months from when I started selling at that health club. Maybe it was the end of the first year. I'm not sure. But the entire time, Harvey and even the club members, many of whom were very successful, were all telling me that sales was the highest paid profession on earth. So it hit me like a ton of bricks that I should get my degree in sales, if you will, even though one doesn't exist, and not go to college. If the average salesperson, I'm thinking, has never even read one sales book and I read a couple hundred, then how can the other salespeople compete with me? They can't. So that's the decision I made, and it has paid off big time. Now, maybe I could have done both, and maybe I should have, but I'm ecstatic how things turned out. So that's the genesis of where all this started, and that's why I put this together. That's why, guys, I call this Power Sales University. This is all about getting your degree in sales, if you will. That way you can make more money and help more people, because, guys, the bigger your paycheck is, the more people you help. So those are the second and third whys. Why you can get this good and why you want to, which is so you can maximize your income and help more people. With sales techniques, I went from an absolute failure to number 2 out of 1,000 salespeople in a year and a half. If we had more time in this introduction, I would even tell you how at 21 I was teaching a class on sales mastery to adults twice and 3 times my age, and how I wrote my first sales book at 25. So if I can do all of this after failing at my first sales job, then to quickly achieving these kinds of successes, obviously you can too. Let's go back to the third why. The third why is so you can maximize your income now and forever. Forget about investing $10,000 in some miracle unicorn stock where you earn a 500% return and now you've got a one-time $50,000 return. You take doing this training seriously, you will double and triple your income, and not just one time, but every single year for the rest of your life. Try to figure out the rate of return on that. So imagine what you can truly make at your job. Picture it right now. How much money are you leaving on the table each month and each year? Is the number 1 salesperson making double what you're making? Or are you the number 1 salesperson at your company, but maybe you stopped growing? Could you do even better? Of course you can. If you're not growing, you're what? You're dying, right? How many people did you miss last month that you know that you should have closed? My point is, will you allow me to be your coach and your teacher? Will you allow me to make you the best of the best, a master closer and master communicator, so good at this you can teach it like I do? Imagine how many more deals you would close and how much more money that you would make if you were so good at selling that you could teach it. It's only the ego that will get in your way of becoming the best. I know that you're already working hard, and yes, sales is a numbers game, but it's not just how many people that you talk to. It's also how many people that you close, and more importantly, how many you miss, right? No matter what level in selling that you're currently at, there is no question that you not only improve, but truly become a master closer and double, even triple your sales as you go through this power sales training material. But then what do you do when you get to the peak? Do you stop practicing? Do you stop learning and growing? Of course not. There's a saying at our company, training is not something that you did, it's something that you do. Pick any sport. Professional athletes train more than they perform. Isn't that true? Why should salespeople be any different? Because the learning never stops, does it? So let's talk about how this works, and then we'll get right into the sales training. Since our model is selling to businesses, you're most likely a salesperson right now, sitting in a meeting, either in person or virtually with your sales manager or owner. I've broken the training down into months. Why? Because most sales training is typically taught in a seminar, and there is no way someone could teach a lifetime of work in some 2-day seminar. Plus, how much can you retain and master in 2 days? All you walk away with learning is maybe a few new tips. My goal is to have you master all of this so well that you could teach it like I do, and to accomplish that, we need to mirror how we all learned in school, which was over a period of months and years. I can't make you a closer in 6 hours or 6 days. That would be ridiculous. But I can do it in 6 months, which is extremely fast, if you think about it. Now, then in month 7, I'll take you deeper and deeper into the sales psychology and make you a master closer. I've got a ton of testimonials on the outside of our website, but I just want you to hear this one real quick from someone that has had lots of sales training, been in sales for 20 years. Do this right, and here's what can happen to you.
That's true. By far the best sales training. I'd love to be a testimonial for you or whatever, but by far the best sales training that I've ever seen in my 21 years of being in the medical device industry selling, so even down.
Oh, that's awesome. What I can capture this as a testimonial right now. What results have you gotten from the training?
Well, tremendous results, actually. So when I first started in your training program, I increased my sales volume by about $500,000, just uncovering things that just kind of fell through the cracks.
Nice.
Yeah. So just being more on task and just, really asking the right questions, being able to read people better, especially over the phone. It's been actually an amazing transformation process for my sales techniques and my ability to actually read people.
That's cool. And what time frame was that in, Mike, roughly, the $500,000?
I would say less than 3 months.
Oh, that's great. That's awesome. That's cool.
Yeah.
Awesome. All right, so guys, each month is roughly 60 to 120 minutes of material, depending on the month. And with the questions I'll be asking you, as well as the questions I'll have your meeting facilitator ask you, plus the brief test at the end of each module that you'll be going through as a group, that breaks down to a 20 to 30 minute meeting if it's done weekly, which is usually the case. And that meeting will be ran by your owner, sales manager, or someone else in your company that's entrusted with this. And that meeting might be held in person or virtually using something like Zoom or Microsoft Teams. Now, it's my job and the meeting facilitator's job to hold you accountable that you are learning this information before, during, and after each training session. So you really need to be on your A game and take lots of notes, because sometimes I'll say, meeting facilitator, stop the video now and ask everyone this question, or have everyone do this exercise, or have everyone do this role play. The other thing that's going to happen is at the end of the training session, I'm going to have the meeting facilitator go around the room and ask you this question. What's an aha moment that you've had during this training session? Something that you'll start or stop doing from what we just covered. And then at the beginning of the next training session, I'm going to have the meeting facilitator go around the room and ask you this question. Okay, last week you gave me some things that you're going to start or stop doing based on what you learned and watched. Give me a real life example of when you used the new tools and what was your experience when you did. Lastly, there's going to be a brief test at the end of each module. And depending on how many people are in the meeting, which is typically 2 or 3 salespeople, you'll have a question that you need to answer once you're picked. And you'll have to answer it in 60 to 90 seconds. But don't worry, you're going to pass with flying colors if you're paying attention. And by the way, meeting facilitator, if you have more than our average of 2 to 4 salespeople, just ask for volunteers to answer the test questions at the end of the modules for the sake of time. And salespeople, a big heads up. The way this was sold to your owner is that the test questions are designed to trip you up if you're not paying attention and hang in on every word I'm saying. So make sure that you really pay attention and take great notes so that when you get picked to answer a question, you get the correct answer. Think of me as your coach, expecting you to know the plays, know the drills, and to know the playbook. There is no reason whatsoever that you can't get so good at this that you can teach it like I do. Guys, this stuff is not that hard. It's not rocket science, okay? Now, I'm going to push you to double and triple your income. So, if you fail a test question, it's only because you were drifting off, not paying attention, looking at your phone, or not taking notes. Finally, one little note for all of my wonderful females listening. It's much easier for me to say the words he when talking about a business owner or a salesperson than it is to constantly be saying things like he or she. So just know that I love women. I know this isn't the 1950s. I've got a wife with 2 wonderful daughters, okay? All right, so I'm excited for you guys, and it's time for us to begin. So grab a pen and a notepad and get ready to learn. It's time to go back to school and to get your degree, but this time in closing sales, and I'll be your professor.